So next up, we've got Miss Alechia Reese. Okay, so Alechia is, many of you may follow Alechia Reese, and so she's more than just this Instagram phenom that she is online. She's a model, she's a host, she's a speaker, but she's also an entrepreneur. She helps brands with brand strategy, she's a marketer, and she's also an author as well. So she has books for sale. Okay, for Alechia. And last but certainly not least, yes. So last but certainly not least, many of you know Miss Mikki Taylor. I had the pleasure of being led by Miss Mikki when I worked at Essence as well, but you all know she's not just editor at large from an Essence perspective. She's not just an author, but she's really an icon in fashion and beauty and culture for many of us. So she's, of course, spoken all around the world, has partnered with Oprah and Michelle Obama, and she's really just a jewel to our culture. So we welcome Miss Mikki. All right, so let's dive in. So I'll give you guys a quick overview. So I really want to talk about purpose. I want to talk about, because I think that's really the beginnings of finding success. And success is not just about a destination, right? Success is a journey. So I want to talk to each of these ladies a little bit about their journey and things that they encountered along the way. And, we want to also hopefully have some time at the very end for some questions in case you guys have some very pointed questions for individuals. You can, do that after. But questions that the group might benefit from, we'd love for you guys to ask us, okay? Great. All right, so I'll start out with this question that I'd love for all of you to answer. Is purpose the foundation of your success, and how did you learn that? I'll start with you, Angel.
I think purpose is very important. I think that is definitely the foundation of success. I think purpose, it mixes with passion. You have to have purpose and passion to get where you want to go.
Yeah.
But like we were saying earlier, we were talking about how success is not just a straight narrow path. You have to go through this roller coaster ride.
Hills and valleys.
Yeah, and we try to tell the kids, this is not success.
Yeah.
You gotta go through this, and you gotta have a purpose to get through those roller coaster rides. So, it's part of it.
I was going to say with purpose for me, it was cancer. It was a curse that saved my life, and it showed me what was really important in life. And that was, my faith in God, my family, and then success.
Yes.
But oftentimes before the cancer, I was kind of sort of driven with my career and got caught up, so to speak. But whatever that obstacle thing is, whether for me it was cancer, it could be divorce, it could be a death of a family member. Sometimes it pushes you into what it is that you're really here on this earth to do and to create. And with me, it was to change women's lives. And like I said, it was cancer, but it saved my life.
Wow. That's amazing. How about for you, Brandice?
I think that when you're on your path of doing whatever it is you're supposed to do, it's so easy to get off course because challenges are going to come. There's going to be big things that are going to be thrown your way, and the only thing that's going to keep you kind of glued to what you're supposed to be doing is purpose.
Yes.
And I know for myself, I would have been quit Harlem's Fashion Row if I didn't believe that it was part of the reason why I'm put here on earth.
Right. I mean, I think that tenacity is incredibly important. Can we talk a little bit, Alechia, and we'll go to you. How do you feel like you can encourage others to live on purpose?
So for me, I always tell people, I don't care how much money you make, I don't care how many promotions you've received. If you have not aligned your skill set to purpose, you'll be ready to take yourself out. In 1 year, I had 3 promotions, a brand new house, a husband who, although abusive, was fine as frog hair, an amazing daughter, the whole 9 yards, and I still had planned to kill myself by going over a bridge because I did not have purpose. Purpose is the compass that guides you to where you're supposed to go, and without it, you are brain dead. Yeah, your body still functions, blood still runs through your body, your heart still pumps because there's a machine that's outside of you that's keeping you going, but you are brain dead if you have not tapped into what your purpose is. And so when all else fails, once you've discovered that purpose, that will keep you going when you are ready to stop, when you are ready to tap out because you're done. When you've aligned yourself with purpose, then you're able to keep going.
Mikki, how about you? How do you feel you can encourage others to live on purpose?
Well, first of all, to really know your value, to understand that purpose is the divine assignment that's given to you. Sometimes we bypass purpose to embrace opportunity. What do I mean by that? You get an offer for a 6-figure job, but your purpose is like, hey, don't forget about me.
Yes.
Your purpose is given to you to create an empire. And it is really given to you to bless and to serve others. And even sometimes we have to recognize that things don't always even happen to us, that they happen for us. We serve an awesome God, and the Bible says His thoughts are not our thoughts; they're way above them. So, as a number of the sisters have talked about, even in our session, being challenged by illness, if you will. But God already had a plan to navigate them out. But it became their purpose, and it allowed them to serve others. So but the bottom line is that you must answer the call. Otherwise, there's always going to be something missing. You're really going to be living in the shadow of who you are meant to be and what you're supposed to do.
Oh, I love that. That's good. That's good. I know we need to take a quick. You need to.
Yes, so I do have to leave, unfortunately. Kind of sort of went over the time, and my car service is here. But I just want to thank you just for the opportunity of coming. I've had a great day with you guys. I do have a book that's out, Soul Food Sessions. This is my second book. That's available on soulfoodsessionswithnaya.com. I love you, ladies. God bless you. I'm sure I'll be connecting with you soon.
Indeed.
So, but I do have to leave. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so as Naya departs, we have one more panelist. So glad that you made it.
I'm so sorry I'm late, ladies.
No worries. So,
You have to talk about purpose, and I have something.
no, I know. I'm
late because I wasn't
I'm
on
gonna
purpose.
make sure I you talk about that. Absolutely. So you came right on time.
Right.
So everyone, just a quick introduction. So Ericka Pittman, she is a brand strategist, a brand architect, legendary in branded entertainment from a business perspective. But she's really just someone that you should know. From an influencer standpoint, she's also a social media influencer, but she's really a true executive and has been working in entertainment for about 20 years. She worked for Mr. Combs as well as at Time Inc. as well as Condé Nast and so many other amazing companies. But she's really someone that's a leader in the space. So would love to talk about how you feel purpose is important to one's journey.
Well, I came in on you speaking about this really full, amazing life for not being on purpose, and that's sort of the transformation I'm in myself. I'm actually late today because I am working with a team that decided they wanted to have a call at 1 o'clock this afternoon for something that needs to be solved next week anyway. And the lead on the team, this is his purpose, this is his dream. He's very adamant about it, and so he pulled everybody together. I've repeatedly said I could not attend because I had another commitment, which was this. And he made an example of me being the only person that couldn't attend. And out of guilt, I decided to stretch myself too thin and not only attend the call, but lead the call. He bamboozled me into leading the call, essentially, right? And so what that meant for me is I could not prepare myself to be ready to be engaged on purpose and present with you ladies. So I want to apologize to every single woman in this room because I've been committed to this and excited about this for weeks. And I let somebody take me off of what is most important to me, which is connecting with women and growing people and vision and talents. And so I wanted to start by just apologizing to all of the women in the room, and I hope you sincerely accept it. Thank you. And B, letting you know and reminding you to stay in line with the things that speak to your heart, particularly the things that speak to your heart that are in service of others. And Mikki talked about it a little bit. Sometimes your purpose is not aligned with even your skills. Some of the things that you're passionate about may not necessarily be your vocation. And for me, it's been a long time coming to understand that while I'm probably good at strategy and marketing and positioning and all those other great things, that's not the thing that wakes me up in the morning. And staying aligned with that is so difficult sometimes because I don't know how to be good at it yet. I haven't figured out how to be an expert life coach or a business coach, but at the same time, organically, I've helped so many people in their careers. Most people that I know, I've gotten a job. Almost everybody that I know and care about, I've gotten them a job, or I've patched them through to a connection, or given them an opportunity. When I speak to women, I get these connection opportunities, and they like lines are forming because they just want to connect and get to know me better and seek guidance. And I have no professional acumen with this. So I'm like, guys, I can point you in the direction of a really great coach. And like, no, I want you to mentor me. I want you to guide me. And what I'm realizing is that's my purpose.
Right. That's right. That's right.
And so now I've got to take some time to get good at it, and become an expert to be able to help guide people in the right way from a psychological standpoint and those other things. So, purpose, sometimes it doesn't show up in a pretty package with a pretty bow.
That's right. It's interesting that you say that, because one of the things I write about in the book is that we need to stop asking permission for the authority we already have.
Yes.
See? And so if this resides in you, own it, embrace it. You don't need someone else to validate it. And again, that's what I mean about a divine assignment. Your career path may not even have a title. Your purpose, rather, may not even have a title. But you have the genius to create it. Even when you get that job, I don't believe anybody that can pay you for your brilliance. They can only pay you for your labor. So stop thinking, oh, it's great that no, it's good. But great is what lies inside of you, and that's purpose. So, stop asking permission for the authority you already have. You don't need someone to validate you and say, oh, well, you're a so-and-so. No, you already knew that.
And I'll say, too, you don't need to go to any other trainings. You have receipts already.
Right.
You
That's
just
right.
said that
That's right.
all the people you've gotten in the job, so they're your receipts.
Right.
So you get some testimonials from them. You put up a one-pager. You have folks go to it. You structure three streams of which you'll make income from that. You have a personal package that it should start at $15K work with you. You have a digital package where when they want to, you have a class that they take, and then you have a connector where if you want me to just connect you, this is how much that costs, and this is who I'll connect you with. 3 ways you make money, and you can still thrive and do everything else that you still want to do with enough money in your pocket and look good about yourself.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I got the strategy. I can figure out, roll out the whole business plan for everybody in this room. But now it gets to the point where a 19-year-old woman comes to me, and she's looking for vision, and she's been broken down the better half of her life, and mentally abused or physically abused, all these other things. I'm one of those people that just want to be prepared for what I'm going to have, and that's not going to stop me from doing it. But I think when things sort of come naturally, that's not your natural skill set, it's sort of this awakening that happens for you to realize, how do I crystallize it and present it to the world where it's authentic? Because there are a lot of people out here proclaiming a whole host of things that they know how to do, ladies. And you're making these investments in these panels and these seminars and these learning experiences, and these people are not credentialed. They're telling you, giving you guidance, and they don't even know what they're talking about.
And just, sidebar, when Takia talked to me about wanting to have a panel, she started to just, have all these ideas, and she's like, I should do this, and I said, no, you know what, let me curate. Let me do that. Why don't we have this one who actually has done this? Because the reality is there's so many people that are out there that, to Alicia's point, don't have the receipts. They have no body of work, right? And so I want you, in your quest to do more, to be more, to live your greatest life, make sure that you are really checking the credentials of people before you're taking their advice.
Because untested advice is something that you don't need. Even the experts I interviewed, or the women even, like a Jill Scott or an Ayala Van Zandt, I don't want to talk to anybody who hasn't gone through the valley and knew how to shine at the low time as well as when they're on the mountaintop. So untested advice, and you'll find a lot of it out there. But if you got to see the traffic.
I love it. So I want to talk about tools to maintain success, because health and well-being is just so important. And whether you guys realize it or not, regardless of what point you're at on your journey, you've received some level of success. You've achieved some level of success, and so you need to receive that. You need to give yourself that credit. and just know that you're on your journey. But, you know, maintenance is incredibly important. And frankly, you can't really start well unless you have those tools. So talk a little bit about tools for the health and well-being component. Mikki, if you can start us off, that'd be great.
Well, you know, certainly time for self needs to be your non-negotiable platform. You know, you must tend your creativity, you must honor your temple, you only get one. I even believe that, you know, for what it's worth, we focus a lot on physical fitness, but if you're not doing some type of mind-body exercise 3 times a week, you're really not working your command central at capacity. The other thing I talk about is establishing a celebration circle. You were not, you know, your greatness was not designed to operate in isolation. And I feel that a celebration circle is what's needed to nurture your well-being as well. That is that team of celebrants who want to see you win, who will, you know, check you, tour you on a journey through where you're going, help you stage a comeback when you fall, remind you that failure is a growth process, things like that. So, and people that you can trust.
Yeah.
You know, your confidences will be their confidences. And I say that as a part of our well-being because so much of the way we live is like this digital reality. Like we wake up thinking we have 10,000 friends. Can you call all of them at 4 a.m. and say life is not working? No. So we need to stop using those terms loosely.
Yes.
We need to stop comparing ourselves with those 10,000 friends. You know, that's stealing our joy. That impacts your well-being. So, you know, you really have got to know your value and assess it from a perspective of self-appreciation, respect, one where you treasure your vision space, what goes on in your command central, and who's surrounding you in your life.
Yeah. Brandice, can you address that as well?
Yeah, I think for me, it's all about, I'm always trying to think, what's going to make me think bigger, right? Because one thing I'm learning is, when I think I'm thinking big, God keeps showing me that you're not thinking big enough.
Yeah.
And every time I think I have this big vision, He always brings something to me that goes, not big enough. And so I've just made it a practice to put myself in position where I'm almost around something or someone that makes me uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because it's so big. And so whether that's listening to I have a new podcast I love called I think it's called The Art of Scale, but it's about like all these businesses that were scaled as by one of the co-founders of PayPal. And so I'm always listening to these tech guys talk all the time. Why? Because that's uncomfortable for me. It's not a lane I'm comfortable in.
I love that.
But in my head, these multi-million billionaires are my friends. They're my mentors. And I made them my mentors because I don't have them around me, so I have to go and find them. And so I'm always putting myself in position that I don't quite understand everything they're saying, you know, but I think that's important for me as part of my well-being. It's constantly putting myself in a place where I feel challenged.
That's good. No, that's amazing.
That's good.
Angel, can you talk a little bit about what is something that you think you wish you knew about success before achieving it? You know, being in the WNBA, I'm sure there's something, right?
I remember Oprah saying one time when they asked her, like, was she going to be successful? And she was real frantic. She told her young self, it's like, what would you tell your young self now, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
It's gonna be okay.
And the one thing that these two ladies said in comment, everything starts with our mind, right? So everything is 90% mental. So take some time out to speak the positivity into your existence. Words are powerful. Sometimes, guess what? Your greatest investment is you. Get away and meditate. I know before I have a basketball game, I meditate before the basketball game how it's going to go. That I'm going to score this many points. I'm gonna have this, and it happens. I'm telling you.
It's the power of manifestation.
That's right.
That's right.
And another thing I want to tell you ladies is you can still be successful helping each other out.
Yes.
Why don't we help each other?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's I'm pretty sure all of you can say you get most of your help from men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't
It's
you?
true.
Yeah, elaborate on that. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
I'm like,
yeah.
She's taking the words out
Yeah,
of my
that's the
mouth.
perfect opportunity. So I honestly did a podcast just last week about women, you know, boss B word, right? But women and the perception of them in the workplace, and you know how you are perceived as, particularly women of color, right? And you know, kind of have to be a bitch to get ahead, and that perception and that kind of conversation. And we talked a lot about that. But, you know, what I wanted to make sure that I put out there was, you know, in my career, men have been the ones to help me more than women. You know, I've had women bosses that were not just abrasive, but abusive. You know what I mean? Real talk. I've had, you know, men that have, you know, really catapulted me to positions. You know what I mean? So Ericka and I talk about this, and we sit on the phone for hours. Brandice and I do this over brunch at least quarterly, and figure out how we can help one another. Purposefully. You know, Alechia and I do it all the time as well. You know, I very deliberately want to make sure that there's no one that feels that there's something that they're missing if they're in my circle. And you should be doing the exact same thing.
That's right. That's right. I mean, you know, we need to unlearn what I call this malignant behavior.
Ooh, that's good.
That we need to compete with one another.
Yeah.
You know, as I said upstairs, God is not an imitator. He's a creator. So he only created you and you and you and no duplicate.
That's right.
And what you bring to the table is uniquely yours.
Right.
And if you focus on that and grow that and polish that, you know, that's where you should be spending your dwell time. Not on, is so-and-so going to get there before me, or if I help her, she's going to take my spot.
Yeah.
You know, what I say on a simple plane is this. If you buy a theater ticket and your seat is B109, you don't expect to show up and somebody else is sitting in your seat. Well, if you understand the principle of reserved seating, God does too. Can't nobody else show up and play what you have. So if you just spend the time and brand you ink and help Sister Ink, and know that when we link arms and names together, we ink is going to be fierce. You won't have no time to be doing this.
No.
That's malignant.
That's
It
right.
really is. It
That's
really
right.
is. And real quick on that, so I took an accelerator course because, again, I too believe in forcing myself to be uncomfortable. Very few.
And education.
Yes, and education.
Make a note of that.
You need to know some stuff.
That's right.
So I was in this accelerator course, 6-week program, longest accelerator program I've been in. Most of them were not people of color, especially not women of color. Most of them were Caucasian men. They did diversify a little, but most of them were Caucasian men. The major difference I found in that accelerator course is the expectation for them was that they had a co-founder. And we talked about it, Brandice and I, we were in the car earlier today. Who's your co-founder? Who are you working with who you've recognized I'm weak or I lack in this area? And granted, you're amazing, I get it, but you're not perfect in every area. So this is the area where it's my area of weakness, but this is your area of strength. And then this is my area of weakness, or excuse me, my area of strength and their area of weakness. You get together and you create something phenomenal. All of them had co-founders, except the people of color.
That's right. That's right. I mean, we don't even take the time to do what I talked about earlier, that SWOT analysis.
Yes.
Because how do you know? You got to know your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your perceived threats. What are they? Where do you have room to grow? And how are you surrounding yourself with people that know what you need to know? Because you don't have to know everything.
You don't have to know.
You know, but we got to do that.
Yeah.
You know, some of us need midwives in our lives.
Ooh, yes.
You know,
Yes,
come on, you.
yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly
That's
right.
exactly- And, you know, and God will bring you those opportunities. I mean, you know, you're probably, you know, communicating with people that you came with or you already knew. But make sure that before you leave, you connect with a sister that you haven't ever seen before in your life, so that you can really figure out what is it that this person might need from me, what is it that I might be able to give. You know, mentorship is a two-way street, and that's really important.
And peer mentorship. That's the
Yeah.
other
Peer,
thing. Peer to
yes.
peer. So oftentimes we don't look laterally enough in our circle. When you just said mentorship, it hit me because this is something that I think a lot of people are not aware of. A mentor is not always somebody that's where you want to be.
Right.
It's also someone that is sort of on the level you're on, but has a skill that complements your assets. So if you know your yin, what is your yang? What's missing? Where are your opportunities? Where are your weaknesses and your perceived threats? And can a peer help you to fulfill those, right? So that your strengths and your opportunities can be supported by the other people around you. So look at your peer group and who can help you to kind of grow.
And that peer group is incredibly important, you know, because you want to make sure that you're not in an environment that is draining, right? An
That's
environment that is not feeding your purpose, your goals.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to eliminate anything that is not serving you well.
Yeah, if you're the smartest person in your circle, it's too small.
Absolutely.
It's about to expire.
Can I ask you a question?
You know, she just drops them, it just comes out.
I think this is kind of important though, because we talked a few things about meditation came up in this answer just now in this session. How many of you ladies honestly meditate with a raise of hands? So that's a lot in
So
the
if you
room.
look at the panelists, and me.
I meditate twice a day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Twice a day. In the morning when I first wake up and before I go to bed.
Yeah.
Very.
How many minutes?
So what does
20.
meditation look like
Yeah.
for you ladies? Like what is, for somebody who doesn't meditate?
Yeah, I was just about to say the next thing. So, and that's the thing. I think we set these big, scary, audacious goals around meditation, like we're gonna levitate or something. Right? We can't do that, and clearly we're not meditating. So there's two things that I discovered in meditation, right? This is very recent for me. So I've been meditating for probably 3 years, almost 4. And when I first started, I could not meditate longer than 30 seconds. It was the most frustrating thing in the world. My brain would just go everywhere. I couldn't focus. And I just stuck with it and worked at it. And now I can meditate for an hour at a time if I want to. But I do it 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night. And I'm so good at it that even at my desk, if I'm frustrated, I just stop for a minute. I just did it just now. Like when I do this, my whole body just releases. I zone everybody out in the room. It doesn't even matter, right? And so I'm so skilled at it now that I can do it. But what it is essentially, it is really just the relaxing of your mind. Quieting of the mind seems to be overwhelming for me, but if you just allow your mind to be still. And when you get crazy thoughts, well, I want to make my hair pink instead of blue tomorrow. Just let it flow in and flow out. And let it be a thought. And as you continue to kind of talk yourself through that, you start to create mantras. I am powerful, I am powerful, I am powerful. And you calm yourself down. There's no magic to it. The reason why meditation and manifestation feels like magic is because there's no direct correlation with you making a decree today and when that seed is planted and when it grows and shows up. So suddenly you wake up one morning and you're all the things that you had already envisioned you were going to be, and you're like, it's like magic. They just magically appear.
I'm sorry. So elaborate on what she's saying. Definitely get to a place of quiet. It's quiet, right?
Quiet.
You learn yourself.
Yes.
Like she said,
So
let those
important.
thoughts flow. They said Michael Jackson, his mom said he used to just be like, woo, 3 o'clock in the morning. And his idea will come to, that's how he made his Thriller album. Because he just sat there in his quiet in your zone. You have your best ideas will come when you get that quiet and you meditate. Guess what? Please write them down. Because you write them down. You know what I
But
mean?
being unafraid of yourself too, because sometimes we're afraid to be alone and quiet with ourselves. So really accepting that some ugly thoughts might show up. Right? They're not always going to be pretty happy thoughts, but you have to let them come and you have to allow them to be. There's 3 things that I always say. It's acceptance, alignment, and allowing, right? You have to allow things to be, accept that they are, and align that they will move on.
So so it really comes down to embracing the cost as well as the joy of who you are. And you have to get still to know that. You know, otherwise other folks are defining the quality of your life, defining your life. So get still. Maybe if you're just starting out, just say, I'm gonna set aside this time to hear what's going through my head. And you'll find a lot of other folks' stuff is there. And really other folks' stuff is other folks' stuff. So you gotta let that go. So it's like cleaning out a room. Think of it that way. Then see what's left. What's on your heart? What's important to you? What did you come to accomplish? Because that's part of the intentional leadership. That starts with you. So if you don't get still and go through your own command central, which is your mind, through the process of meditation, you just existed.
That's right. Absolutely. And it's detrimental to be a leader of anyone, whether that's professionally or personally, and you don't have it together in all of these areas. You know, and frankly, that's why there's so many issues, right, in corporate America, because you have many leaders that are leading others that have some real serious problems.
Who need therapy? Who needs that?
Who needs
Right.
therapy?
Who needs therapy?
Therapy is so
Right.
important. I started therapy myself because I've dealt with so much. Then I put my 8-year-old in therapy because she's seen way too much trauma to be her age. She stepped in between me and my ex-husband when he was about to punch me. She's 8, and she did that when she was 3. And she told him, don't do my mommy that way. Don't talk to her like that. You need to leave. At 3. So because she's experienced so much trauma, I said, okay, I don't want to, excuse my French, fuck this up real bad. Let me put you in somewhere that you can talk through the issues that you've had. And then for myself, because I lead people, let me put myself into some therapy so that I can deal with all of the intense traumas. And you could have had a great life and still have experienced traumas.
Absolutely.
Don't be leading folks with your trauma-filled self. You angry, you mad, you upset, you cussing out your assistant, you making them feel like they a piece of dirt because you are so troubled. Go sit on somebody's couch and talk to them about your issues. And it doesn't mean you're bad or you can't perform or you won't be just as amazing as you are because you have issues. We all got them. Go talk to somebody about them.
Everybody. And stop believing that old notion that folks say you're crazy if you get therapy. Therapy is about knowing your value and counting yourself worthy. That you want to be well and healed. And so, you know, it's about getting what you need. It's really not about what anybody else thinks. You know, you don't need outside validation. You know, you need to interpret that from here. And I love that you said that, because you know what she said, what I heard her say, you all didn't hear it. She said, otherwise you're going to die full. That's what she said. And she's right. She's right.
And unless you guys know, therapy is not just sitting in front of someone. There's different types of therapy.
Yes, it is.
For example, what's the one people think I'm getting sleepy? What's it called? Hypnosis. I went to a hypnosis therapist, and it's not like this. It's actually like therapy. They're really finding out your emotions, and what, you know. So there's different types of therapy you guys can do. I'm sure they can have different types of therapies. I'm sure there's much more, but find the therapy that is good for you. You know, and it's okay to go. I used to think, no, they won't think I'm crazy if I'm going to. No, it's so good these days. There's so many different ways.
I'm gonna offer something else up. We're all crazy. Check. Everybody's crazy. Check the box. Check. Oh, they don't think I'm crazy. Guess what? Anybody over 10 years old is crazy.
That's right.
There's been some kind of neglect, some kind of trauma, some kind of letdown, some kind of insecurity, something has happened in your ego central that has forced you to have suppressed issues, insecurities, fears, doubts, and a whole host of things that are probably not even real. That's crazy. And that's humans. So if we can kind of get the stigma away from the, oh, I'm going to be crazy if I go talk to somebody, that takes half the battle out. The other thing is, we don't necessarily as a culture put our business in the street. We don't do a whole host of talking about what's happening to us, particularly the negative things. But the reality is you are not alone. And somebody is probably going through the exact same thing you're going through.
That's right.
Your problems are not all, as unique as we are as individuals, your problems are not that germane or
That's
unique.
right.
And talking can help to create clarity around what's really happening, because we create all kinds of stories in our heads about why he didn't do right, why mommy and daddy didn't show up, why this job did or did not work out for me, why I made it or didn't make it. Some of those stories, again, are just not real.
That's right. And those things also keep us from moving
Move
forward.
forward.
So talking about meditation and thoughts and dreaming and vision. So hard to do any of those things when you've got major emotions that are stopping you from reaching that. I know, you know, for me, for a long time, it was this scarcity mindset that I had. And that scarcity mindset, it stopped me from, I stopped myself from moving forward in so many areas because I was operating from a place of lack. And when you start operating from a place of abundance, everything changes. Then you can actually work with another person, but you can't even work with another woman if you're operating out of a place of scarcity. It will never work. You can't really dream, honestly, if you're working out of a place of scarcity, but a lot of us, that was our reality. I didn't come from a whole lot. If you don't come from a whole lot, it takes work to get to a place where you're actually operating out of a place of abundance. You don't wake up and say, all right, you know, that takes work. It takes therapy. I did therapy every single week for 52 weeks until my therapist said, girl, you can go talk to your girlfriend. Please, I appreciate you. but all right.
But you know, even on a level, you need to know your own triggers.
That's right.
You know, what are your triggers? Is it fear? Is it something someone said to you 20 years ago that still holds you back? You know, I look at it this way. When an elephant is little in the circus, they put a chain around his ankle and he can't pull it out of the ground. The same elephant, when he's grown and weighs 2,500 tons, he still think he can't pull that chain out the ground because the chain is here. So you need to know yourself that well. What are your triggers? Yeah, and like she said, we're all a little crazy. Embrace your brilliance. Embrace it. Yeah, and get what you need to keep growing through. You know, we need to stop going through. Going through is a very different experience than growing through.
And I want to elaborate real quick. I know it's easy for us if you think, oh, you got these successful women telling us to go to therapy. I can't afford therapy, you know? Those things happen, right? And to elaborate on her, how can you live in a place of abundance? Well, guess what? I recorded on my phone, I love myself. I'm talented. I'm worthy. And I play it and just hear it over and over and over. And you just feel yourself just lift up. Encourage yourself. Guess what? Some of us can't afford to go to therapy, right? But you can change yourself. Speak it to existence. Affirmations, that's what it's called. Create your affirmations on your phone. So when y'all get home, post it. I'm worthy. I love myself. I can do this, whatever it may be.
That's right. And many of you have insurance, right?
Your
I'm about to say,
you can call your insurance company and say mental
cover,
health, and they'll give you all the providers that your insurance covers.
And there very well might be therapists that are willing to work with individuals that don't have coverage as well.
And there are also not-for-profits too that offer services as well online for those that can't afford it.
And digitally now, you can get therapy for free. Now, you can't get it every week, but if you feel you're at a breaking point, there's an app, and I'll have it for you before the end of the day, that you can go on and talk to someone if you feel like you're getting close to the edge.
That's amazing.
And it's free.
It's important to get what you need.
That's right.
What you need.
Because that's what success is all about, right? I mean, we kind of pivoted to a lot of different things, but the reality is the success is about the individual and what the individual defines as success, right? And that, to me, is really why it's an art, right? Art is subjective. It's really about what makes you happy. It's about what makes you feel fulfilled. And frankly, you need to be fulfilling others. You need to ensure that your circle is healthy. You need to, be having a healthy mindset and all the things that we kind of talked about today. Before we go, I want to talk about problem solving a little bit because there's so many problems in our lives in general. But for those that are successful, what I don't think people realize is the level of problem solving
Oh my gosh.
that happens.
Yes.
Right? Ericka, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So in my previous roles, I was with Combs Enterprises for 9 years, and I became the fixer in the entire organization. If there is a conundrum, there is a problem, it's just like, give it to Ericka, she can figure it out. And the reality is something is always going to go wrong. In personal life, in professional life, something is just always going to go wrong. But the reality is I think we talked about pivoting. Mikki might have mentioned it. Somebody on a panel mentioned being able to pivot. Your ability, they always say, it's not what happens to you, it's how you handle what happens, right? Your ability to pivot in a moment and not take stock in what's actually happening, but what you feel is happening, but look at what's happening and what needs to be fixed is key to quickly getting things solved. So I teach people this, and we all, I believe, in this room learned it in elementary school. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. The 5 W's plus how. Always ask yourself, I'm talking about from your vacation to what house you want to buy to a business proposal you want to create. Start with your 5 W's. Okay, who are we dealing with? What is the situation? Why are we in this situation? What can we do to solve it? And how are we going to get it done? You can ask yourself those questions all the time. Once you're able to sort of get the framework of those 5 W's done, you can start to look at who's going to help me get this done? Because that's the other thing, right? We as women of color don't ask for help enough. Home family. You said I do?
I do.
Go ahead, girl.
I have a Harlem accent.
I love that. And good for you. That is so strong. Because I certainly struggle with asking for help.
Yeah. No, that's good.
So looking into your resource pool of who can help you get to the 5 W's that you're looking at. And then the other bit too is the everything is going to work out approach. It's gonna work itself out. So driving, like for instance, today, my good girlfriend, bless her heart, she flew down 85 to get me to Lake Lanier. Sweet as pie. And I said, T, you know what, don't worry about it. It's gonna work itself out. We can't worry about it. This is the way things are happening. And sure enough, I walk in and you guys are just starting the panel that was supposed to start an hour ago. Thank you so much for that. But it all comes together.
Yeah. But it's, you know, it's like I said, your greatness was not designed to work in isolation. So again, you don't have to know everything. After you can answer those to who, what, why, and how, then who's in your circle?
Yes.
Somebody's been through what you're going through.
Yes.
Who can you turn to? Who can you pick up the phone to? And because a lot of times we start out with the what if, and we got a list of 10 things that could just, you know, exacerbate this. Don't even have any proof that it'll go that way. So again, pragmatically defining how you're going to solve the problem and recognizing that you're just the queen for the job. I don't doubt that I'm the person for this. If it happened to me, if it happened for me, not to me. That means I'm going to another level of growth. Thank you, God. Yeah, more from my mental bags. That's right.
Absolutely.
So you got to see it from that perspective.
Yeah, I agree completely. I feel like problems are truly just opportunities to teach you how to be more creative.
That's right.
That's all it literally is. It is just to teach you how to be more creative. I had an event we were supposed to do with a client. Major sponsors on board, like American Express. We've got very top level folks who are supposed to be coming to this event. Things work out, venue sponsor, they back out 3 weeks before the event. 3 weeks. Now that's not a problem, especially when there are thousands of dollars invested. That's a little bit of an issue. So what we did is we took a day, we all sat down. I tapped the heads of my MVP. She tapped the heads of my MVPs and my most valued persons. As in the people who I know I can call who get me something. That's the who. Who can I help to figure this thing out? Called them, hit them up. We decided, let's just shift. Instead of doing it this date, we'll instead do it during Fashion Week, which aligns much better with what she's doing. Since the sponsor is so-and-so, we can pull on this other sponsor who will be able to give us even more money. It'll be a much more effective and successful event doing it that way. It literally is just figuring out a way to be creative. The client is happy, I get deliverance, and all is well.
I love it. Yeah.
It'll always work
Can
out.
I just say 2 more quick things about the problem solving? So the first thing, a friend of mine, childhood friend, her mother's like my aunt, she would always say to us, what does not knowing have to do with finding out?
Right.
Every time, like, I don't know. And she was like, well, what does that have to do with finding out? So it taught us very early on to be resourceful to find the answers, right? And to that end, I'm going to segue into the second part that I really want you to take away. No is just the means to a yes. The first time somebody says no to you, it's not over. There's another way to get. Have you ever been on the phone with customer service and they say, well, I can't help you. You say, I can speak to your manager. I can't. And then that manager says, I can't help you. You say, okay, well, I just need to speak to your manager. And by that third manager, you done got your credit, you got an extra extension, and you got a lower interest rate, you got a whole free month of cable that you didn't know you could get. All sorts of things happen by that third person. But if you would have just let the first no happen, you'd be done. You wouldn't have no cable credit for your VOD being broken and all this other stuff.
Exactly.
To see how much
It's
you
a
really
test.
want.
That's right. And that's why I'm on that note, I'm going to say too, watch your prayers. Because your answers always show up in opportunities. What you consider a challenge is an opportunity. So if you really don't mean it, watch your prayers. Watch your prayers. You want to go to the next level. You don't get to choose all the time how the escalator presents itself.
You don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's steep. That means you're gonna have to go through some
That
stuff.
got to go right.
You're gonna have to go through it.
That's
You
right.
want- I want the treat, or I want the prize, I want the accolades, I want the awards, but I don't want to have to go through nothing. Then you don't really want it.
You don't
That's
really
fine.
want it.
Sit down, have a
Yeah.
seat.
You know, you got to lift some weights to build muscles.
Yes, you do.
Including spiritual muscle.
Absolutely.
That's right.
I like that.
I love that. Spiritual.
That's tweetable. Tweet that.
No, that's good. That's good. Hashtag success strategies. Spiritual muscle. No, that's good. And I mean, and just to grow that spiritual muscle, think about whatever you're doing right now, then how can you take that to the next level? Right? Okay, well, if you're going to church every Sunday, or, you know, wherever you go for worship every week, how am I taking that to the next level? Am I fasting? Am I reading the word? Am I, being a good person? Am I, getting alone in that prayer closet and having that conversation? Am I meditating?
How are you warring?
Yeah.
How are you warring? Because part of that requires that you fight.
That's right.
Yeah, how you showing up ready?
That's
Because
right.
faith is nothing if it's not defining your life. If it's just a Sunday kind of practice, you can stay home.
Faith
right.
without works.
I'm just saying, if you crumbling Monday through Saturday, it's not
That's
worth
right.
much.
That's right. Yeah. It's definitely a big part of it. So, I think we're gonna get wound up, and I want to talk a little bit about positioning yourself. Okay, so that'll be our kind of last roundup. So I want you guys to kind of talk about positioning oneself and give your closing statement. We'll start with you, Angel.
Oh, no, come back to me.
Okay, we'll come back to you. We'll start in the middle with Brandice.
Brandice wrote the book on it. Brandice wrote the book on it.
Brandice wrote the book.
Wrote the book on it. Go on now.
She did.
So, I don't think you can. For me, positioning yourself is showing up as yourself. I don't really have another answer other than that. I've realized that when I show up as my authentic Southern,
That's the answer right there. That's it.
and for a long time I didn't. For a very long time I didn't. For a long time I felt like people wanted me to be a certain way, a professional way. I'm in fashion, so I would try to show up as that. And in 2014, my dad had a stroke, and it changed everything for me. And I said, either people, and I realized how precious life was. I said, either people take me as I am, or they don't take me. And so now, no matter where I am, positioning myself is showing up. I want you to know the same Brandice as you know. Me and Latasha had a meeting, a sponsorship meeting at a breakfast. The entire hour and a half, I didn't even talk. I was there to pitch my company to her to sponsor. I didn't even bring it up the entire time because we actually connected as humans. And we talked about all kind of, and then at the end I said, shucks, I had a deck to give you. She was like, I don't need your deck. But I realized, showing up as fully myself.
Right.
When I went in with Nike, I told my designers, I said, guys, we're not showing up here as anybody other than us. They take us or they leave us, but if they're gonna buy into us, they're buying into us and our real stories. And our stories ain't completely pretty.
Right.
But they're gonna hear our real stories. And so now for me, positioning is all about showing up fully as Brandice. And sometimes that's contrary to my atmosphere. Showing up as kind and loving and fashion. It's very contrary to fashion, but it's who I'm committed to be, and it's what I require of everyone who touches HFR. So that's positioning for me.
Yeah.
I would say positioning, a huge part of positioning is preparedness.
Yes.
Being prepared is so important. I mean, I think it's 80% of success, right? There's those little opportunities that sort of sprinkle around the magic. But if you are not prepared in all the things that we just talked about and in your vocation or whatever those things that you know how to do or want to do, you are not going to achieve the level of success that you would like to achieve. I think getting very, very clear about your weaknesses will help you to be prepared, right? So don't exercise your calves. Are you guys familiar with that saying? I know you are. Don't exercise your calves.
Right.
So if you got a strong core, don't run around doing a bunch of push-ups and you can't do squats. You got to do squats because you already have a strong core, right? So don't exercise your calves running around. Oh, I'm good at this. So I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm good at. Meanwhile, you don't know math or finance scares you and you love writing. Get clear on your weaknesses and get prepared so that when you're positioning yourself, you're showing up confidently and 100% all of who you know how to be.
Yeah. Part of positioning yourself to succeed is really moving out of your comfort zone so you can own your power zone. It really is. It's not about being comfortable. And, certainly making sure that brand you comes fully to the table. I don't like it when we have these imprints that we allow others to put on us and we think, oh, that's working for her, let me try this for me. No, that's what I call like an imposter syndrome. Don't do that. Bring brand you to the table. And for those of you who work for other companies, make sure that while you're growing brand them, that you're growing brand you. It's not enough for them to grow and you not to grow. Because you should always have your eyes on your next. I heard someone say, don't build a house where you should really only pitch a tent. If you're working on brand new, you're not there to stay.
Yeah.
What's your ultimate goal? And how are you branding yourself for that? So yeah, all of the things that have been said here today, that's critical to positioning yourself to succeed.
Yeah, I'd say for me, positioning is entirely about alignment. But in order to align, you first have to align with your MVP, which is you. Align with what your purpose is, and then once you've aligned, build relationships. I say all the time, if you really want to win at life, you've got to figure out how to build mutually exclusive and mutually beneficial relationships. Life does not work without relationships.
That's right.
Because yes, it's God who puts up one and takes down another, but he uses people to do it. So you've got to figure out, how will I genuinely connect with people?
Right.
Just like with what you said, I just closed or just secured the contract for my first government contract in the city of Philadelphia and then my largest corporate client. Both of those meetings, not one time did I talk about what I've done. Not once. At the meeting, and if we were supposed to, we had a computer, we had a pretty deck, we had what our respective goals were, how we were going to get it done. He wanted to know who I was as a person. And then once we finished all that, who I was as a person and what I've done and how I've aligned and helped myself to get from where I was to where I'm supposed to be, he said, great. Runs a $64 million budget for a city. Said, you know what, great. I want you and whoever your people are, come in to meet the president of this. We want to make sure we do X, Y, Z with you for that one. And then we have another contract that we want to bring you in on. Because if you can take you from this, then I know you can assist us with the people who we have in our city to take them from A to Z. Figure out who you are. Align with you first. Then align with what your purpose is.
Recognize.
And to me, that's how you position.
Yeah, and recognize that relationships are your wealth. And you know, it's what I said, we don't lack for networking, you know, but to me, networking is very transactional. How many business cards you have on your night table that you don't know who those people are? But we need more fellowship. Fellowship is a meaningful exchange. Like she said, he wanted to talk to her long before he knew all of that, and here's my card and so forth. So take time, spend time with people. Because relationships are your wealth, and you never know what it's going to lead to. I can tell you right now, you know, short relationships, yes, I'm honored that my publisher is going to now turn editor Chic into an Audible book so I can have the conversation with women. But by the same token, Audible wanted it. And I said, well, wow, where's this going? Simon Schuster's going to do the Audible book, going to do the audio book. Audible is doing my life story. Audible, and they're going to have me perform it on stage in New York. So, and that all came out of a relationship that I had how many years ago that led to another one and another one? Relationships. Relationships. So, take the time to get to know people. Not what can they do for you, what can, you know.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, if you go to a networking event, and I hate networking, I do not believe in networking. Networking does not work. I cannot stand networking.
Crazy.
I can't stand it. But what I do like is the building of relationships. If you go to an event and you trying to pass out your business card to everybody in the room, you've lost. Go home. You've lost already. What your goal should be is when you come in that room, my whole goal, every single event I go to, let me just connect with one or two genuine folks. That's it. I'm not trying to connect with everybody in the room because everybody doesn't need to have access to my source. Because if I bring you in close to me and you are poisoned, I have just poisoned myself. Because I want to be connected to everything.
That's right.
You're not supposed to connect to everybody.
Not supposed to.
One or two genuine folks.
It's very important.
Very important.
It's very important.
Very important. I don't make business cards. I am the card.
I
You
don't
spend some time with me, then you get to know how to get in touch with me. And we're going to have a meaningful connection.
Absolutely.
We don't make cards.
Because, I mean, I'd say you're either all the way in or you're all the way out, frankly. You know, Angel, did you have anything you wanted to
No, I had to learn this question for me. So.
Teaching and learning. That's what it's all about, right?
I was gonna say, well, I think the thing that's common between all of us is the storytelling,
absolutely.
right? And how do you build relationships through telling your real story? People want to know your real story. Like, why did her big clients want her? They want to know you. And people will. I used to think that people were buying my business and my
purpose and they weren't.
That's
Not
right.
even as important as my purpose is to me, my purpose isn't important to everyone else. Everyone else is actually going to buy you.
That's right.
Like your story, who you are, and then they'll be interested in your purpose, but they're going to buy you first.
That's right. It's so much. Yeah, I mean, it's so